Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. We take your questions, your sources, and we really unpack them to find those crucial nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're diving deep into something that, well, let's face it, touches most of us eventually. The whole intricate, sometimes overwhelming experience of heartbreak. We've got a stack of really fascinating material here to guide us. Think of it like a roadmap, maybe, through what can feel like a very personal wilderness. Now, the sources we received were quite a mix this time. There was a transcript from a YouTube video, for instance, with a pretty stark take. It stated, women are only loyal to their emotions. She's not loyal to you, she's loyal to her emotions and her feelings. Pretty strong stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely a strong viewpoint.
And it goes on, suggesting if her feelings change, quote, you're cooked and there's nothing you can do. The advice, just focus on yourself and God.
Right. That OG perspective, as it was maybe framed, offers a very almost transactional view, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Suggests maybe a fear of unpredictability or losing control, perhaps. But when you put it next to the other material we looked at, you see this much broader, more universally understood picture of heartbreak emerge.
Yeah, the contrast is striking.
It makes you wonder, right? Does boiling love down to just feeling really prepare anyone for what loss actually feels like? Or is that just oversimplifying a really deep human thing?
Good question.
So our mission today is really to explore this multifaceted pain, understand how it hits us mind and body, and crucially figure out how we can navigate it, not just survive, but actually heal and maybe even grow.
So what does this all mean for you, whether you're going through it right now or maybe just looking back on it? Okay, let's start digging into this. Our sources describe heartbreak not just as, feeling sad, but as one of the most universal human experiences. It hits everyone, all genders, ages, backgrounds.
That really does.
It's described as a profound disruption that affects every aspect of your being. But why? Why does it feel so huge, so physical?
That's such a key question.
Yeah.
Because it is physical in a way. It's not just a metaphor when we talk about a broken heart or feeling like you got a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists have actually found that emotional pain, it lights up the same bits of the brain, like the anterior cingulate cortex, that physical pain does.
Wow. Okay. So your brain literally thinks you're injured.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It registers that emotional loss like a physical wound. And that's why heartbreak can make you feel genuinely sick or wiped out or have actual aches and pains. It's definitely not all in your head.
And here's something our sources really brought home for me. It's not just losing the person. That's huge, obviously, but it's more than that.
So much more.
You're grieving a future you had imagined, right? And the daily routines you were used to. Those silly inside jokes that now have no audience.
Yeah.
And even, this is deep, a version of yourself that existed in relation to that other person. It's like losing part of your identity.
Absolutely. It's losing that security, maybe. Knowing someone saw your quirks and loved you anyway. That simple comfort of having your person to text good morning or share the small wins and losses of the day.
Exactly. It's profound.
And the sheer intensity, it often catches people off guard. But like our sources said so well, there's no shame in being devastated by loss. It simply means you were brave enough to love deeply and authentically.
But that's a really comforting way to put it.
It is. And it also says the depth of your pain is often proportional to the depth of your love. And feeling broken doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Understanding that heartbreak actually has patterns can weirdly bring some comfort when everything feels like chaos.
Like grief has stages.
Kind of, yeah. Like other grief, you often see stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, etc. But, and this is important, it's not neat. It's not linear.
Right, you don't just check them off a list.
Exactly. You might cycle through 3 of them in one day, or wake up feeling like you're totally back at square one. And that's okay. It's normal.
Okay, so the breakup just happened. Those first few hours, first few days, what's going on then? The sources say it can feel totally surreal and overwhelming.
Utterly overwhelmed.
Like you might find yourself automatically grabbing your phone, maybe to text them something funny you saw.
Oh yeah, that muscle memory.
And then it hits you, that gut-wrenching moment of remembering they're not, part of your daily life anymore.
Oh, yeah, that part's rough. And this period, it just demands huge self-compassion, patience with yourself. You've got to let yourself feel whatever comes up. Don't judge it. If you need to cry, cry. If you feel that anger bubble up, okay, acknowledge it. Maybe don't act on it right away, but feel it.
And numbness, is that okay too?
Totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
Numbness is often just your brain's way of protecting you, like putting up a shield until you have the capacity to actually process the really overwhelming stuff. As the sources say, there's no right way to react to heartbreak.
Our deep dive also really points to focusing on the basics, like just meeting your fundamental need, because heartbreak has this sneaky way of just wiping out your appetite or messing with your sleep or draining any motivation for self-care.
It really does attack the fundamentals.
So even if food sounds awful, the advice is just try to eat small, nutritious meals regularly. Your brain needs that fuel, right?
Desperately.
And if you can't sleep, try to create create some kind of calming bedtime routine. Maybe limit screens before bed. That blue light messes things up even more.
Absolutely. It's about giving your body that basic support system it needs just to cope with the shock.
Okay, but what about big life changes? The urge to just burn everything down and start over.
Ah, yes. Temptation is strong, but the sources strongly advise against making major decisions right then in that acute phase. Your judgment is likely, well, clouded, and decisions made in crisis mode are rarely the ones you'll feel good about later.
Like quitting your job or moving across the country?
Exactly. Or jumping straight into another relationship. Big stuff like that. Change can be good later, but the sources suggest the best transformations happen when you're thinking clearly rather than reacting directly to pain.
Makes sense. What about smaller things like trigger, places you used to go?
Good point. The material suggests maybe temporarily limiting exposure to those triggers, certain restaurants, songs, or social media platforms where you'll just keep seeing reminders.
It's not about being weak.
Not at all. It's an act of self-compassion, giving yourself a break from the constant reopening of the wound.
Okay, and here's something I found really powerful in the sources. Dealing with the mental. That's one of the most torturous parts, right? How your mind gets stuck in loops of repetitive thinking.
Oh, absolutely. The rumination cycle.
Yeah, you find yourself just replaying every conversation from the last few weeks, thinking, what if I'd said this? Or what could I have done differently? Or just imagining getting back there.
Endless scenarios.
But the sources are clear. This rumination serves no productive purpose. It doesn't change the past or provide genuine insight. It just keeps you stuck, emotionally stuck.
Precisely. And breaking free from that, it takes conscious effort. It really does. So when you notice your mind starting to spiral down that rabbit hole, the advice is to gently redirect your attention, bring it back to the present.
How, what does that actually look like?
It can be super simple. Like focusing on your breath for a minute, or naming 5 things you can physically see around you right now, or doing something physical that forces you to concentrate, even just washing dishes mindfully.
Mindfulness seems key here.
Very much so. Even just 5 or 10 minutes of daily meditation can start training your brain to just observe thoughts without getting swept away by them.
And another thing that's compelling, writing it down.
Oh, yeah. How does that help? Putting those swirling thoughts onto paper can kind of externalize them, take them out of your head, and maybe reduce their emotional charge. You could write letters to your ex that you never send, or just journal about how you're feeling, or even just do a brain dump, get all the chaos out. It creates a bit of distance.
That makes sense. Okay, what about the digital world? That complicates things massively now, doesn't it? The digital traces our relationships leave behind. Social media feels like a minefield.
It really, really is a minefield. And honestly, the most effective strategy for most people is usually the simplest, even if it feels harsh initially. Temporarily block or unfollow your ex on social media.
Not to be mean, but for self-preservation.
Exactly. It's not vindictive. It's purely about creating space for your own healing. Because seeing photos of them looking happy or out with friends or, God forbid, potentially dating someone new, that's almost guaranteed to set back your progress.
Oof. Yeah.
And maybe even consider unfollowing or muting mutual friends for a while if they post a lot about your ex.
That urge to check, though, it can be almost compulsive.
It really can. It gives you that temporary hit of information, but it almost always leaves you feeling worse afterwards.
So practical steps.
Maybe delete the apps off your phone for a bit, or use website blockers if you have to. Just remove the temptation. Importantly, try to remember, social media presents a curated version of reality. Their apparent happiness online, even if it's genuine, doesn't diminish the validity of your pain or the value of what you shared together. Protect your peace first.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and unpack something huge. Identity.
Yeah.
Long-term relationships, they often involve this gradual merging of identities, right?
They really do. You become a we.
So after a breakup, you're faced with this big task, rediscovering your individual identity, learning how to be whole on your own again. But our sources say this can actually be, maybe surprisingly, one of the most rewarding aspects of healing.
It really can be, eventually. It feels daunting at first, but you suddenly have this space, this opportunity to reconnect with parts of yourself that maybe got put on the back burner, or even discover totally new parts.
Like going back to old hobbies.
Exactly. Reconnecting with activities you loved before the relationship, picking up that hobby you dropped, going back to places that meant something just to you. Why does this matter so much? Well, these things act like anchors. They remind you deep down that you were a complete person before this relationship and remain complete after it.
That's empowering.
It is. And try new things too. Stuff you've always been curious about. Novel experiences create new neural pathways. They literally help rewire your brain a bit. Shift your focus from what's lost to what you might be gaining.
And being alone, learning to be okay with that.
Crucial. Spending intentional time alone without constantly seeking distraction. Learning to actually enjoy your own company. The goal is to rebuild comfort with solitude, the sources say, and to recognize that being alone doesn't mean being lonely.
Okay, But let's talk about a tough one, anger. Our sources call it a natural and often necessary part of the healing process, but it can also turn destructive if you don't handle it well.
Yeah, anger's tricky.
You might feel angry at your ex, sure, but also maybe at yourself, or just angry at the whole situation, the universe, whatever.
Totally valid feelings. All of them. What's interesting is that anger often acts like a bodyguard emotion, shielding us from deeper stuff like hurt or sadness.
So you shouldn't just stuff it down.
Definitely not suppress it. That tends to backfire. The goal is more to feel it fully and then let it go. Find healthy ways to release it.
Like what? Punching a pillow?
Maybe. Physical exercise is actually a fantastic outlet. High-intensity workouts, kickboxing, running, even just vigorous cleaning can help discharge that physical tension. Creative expression is another powerful channel. Write angry letters you never send, make some messy art, blast some angry music that gets it. It helps give form to your feelings instead of letting them fester inside.
The key is feeling it versus acting destructively on it.
Exactly. Big difference. Feel the anger, yes. Act on it in ways that harm you or someone else, no. That's the line. And eventually, the sources talk about forgiveness as a gift to yourself rather than to your ex.
Not saying what they did was okay.
Not at all. It doesn't mean condoning hurtful behavior. It just means releasing the burden of carrying all that anger and resentment around. It weighs you down.
And if the anger feels totally consuming,
then professional support is absolutely the way to go. If it's taking over your thoughts or leading to destructive actions, get help.
Now, what about the people around you? Your support system is crucial, but navigating friends and family can get complicated. Sometimes well-meaning people say the wrong thing, right? Or pressure you to just get over it already.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. It's tough. The sources suggest trying to be really honest with your closest people about what you actually need. Some days you might desperately need to talk it out. Other days you might just want a distraction, like watching a dumb movie. Let them know what might change as day to day.
Setting boundaries seems important too.
Very, especially around discussions about your ex. Rehashing the same details repeatedly can keep you stuck. Maybe designate 1 or 2 specific people as your processing partners, so you're not dumping everything on everyone all the time.
What about friends who just don't get it?
Yeah, the sources mentioned being patient with friends who haven't experienced significant heartbreak themselves. Their inability to fully understand probably isn't about not caring, just lack of experience. And maybe consider a support group. Sometimes talking with others who are experiencing similar pain can feel more validating than talking to anyone else.
And it's okay to limit contact with people who make you feel worse.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to limit your exposure to anyone, friend or family who consistently brings you down or invalidates your feeling. Your healing comes first.
Okay, besides all the emotional stuff, there's often practical mess too, right? Especially if you live together, shared money, pet, friend groups.
Oh, the logistical nightmare. Yes, that adds another layer of stress. Priority 1, according to the sources, your safety and emotional well-being over, say, financial convenience, especially with living spaces. If staying there is causing major distress, it's probably worth finding another arrangement, even temporarily.
Dividing up stuff, that sounds awful.
It can be. Try to handle it with as much grace and practicality as possible. And if you're fighting over, like, a lamp, really consider whether the emotional cost of fighting for it is worth the potential ongoing conflict. Address shared finances, bank accounts, loans quickly and clearly.
And shared friends, that's awkward.
Super awkward.
Yeah.
Mutual friends may feel caught in the middle. Try hard not to force them to choose sides. If kids are involved, obviously, prioritize their emotional well-being above everything. Professional guidance for co-parenting is often a really good idea there.
So the general advice is keep it businesslike.
Pretty much. Address these practical things in a business-like manner. Maybe stick to email for communication. Keep it focused purely on logistics. Less emotion involved, the better, usually.
Yeah. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. Our sources dive into attachment styles. Those patterns we develop really early on based on our caregivers. They apparently really influence how we react to heart.
Hugely influential. Understanding your own style could be a game changer for recognizing your patterns.
So what are the basic styles they meant?
Okay, so someone with secure attachment, they tend to bounce back a bit better. They usually maintain their self-worth. They seek support appropriately, process things healthfully. They generally believe they can recover.
Sounds ideal. What about the others?
Well, if you have an anxious attachment style, a breakup often feels like it confirms your deepest fears, like you're unlovable or destined to be abandoned.
Oh, wow. So what's the focus then?
For anxious attachment, it's really about self-soothing techniques
and
actively challenging that negative self-talk, reminding yourself your worth is inherent, not dependent on someone else staying.
Okay. And avoidant.
Avoidant attachment is interesting. They might initially feel relief, like view freedom, but they often struggle with delight grief. They might try to just power through, maybe by dating excessively or burying themselves in work.
So they need to slow down?
Exactly. The advice is to consciously slow down, make space, and actually allow yourself to feel the emotions they might be trying to bypass.
And the last one, disorganized.
Yeah, disorganized or fearful avoidant. This can be really tough. They might experience intensely conflicting emotions, swinging wildly between desperate, clingy behavior and then suddenly pushing people away or withdrawing completely.
Sounds exhausting.
It is. Professional support is often really crucial here to navigate those deep-seated conflicts and fears. But what's compelling, the sources say, is that no matter your style, the path forward involves developing self-compassion and emotional regulation. Those are key for everyone.
So how do we get from just surviving this pain to actually finding purpose in it? The sources talk about exploring the lessons and growth opportunities, which sounds, frankly, impossible when you're right in the thick of it.
It absolutely does sound impossible then. But eventually, maybe months or even years later, failed relationships often provide some of life's most valuable lessons.
How do you even start looking for those lessons without just blaming yourself?
Good question. It's not about blame. When you feel ready, the invitation is to reflect gently. What did this relationship teach you about your own capacity for love, for vulnerability, for commitment? Even relationships that end badly usually had some good moments or taught you something. Look at the patterns that showed up. Did you tend to lose yourself? Was communication a constant struggle? Did you ignore some early red flags? Understanding those helps you make different choices next.
But examining your own role, that feels tricky.
It is. And it's crucial to do it without falling into self-blame. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about empowering yourself by recognizing where you had agency, what your part was. Think about what the relationship showed you about your core value, your priorities, your absolute non-negotiables moving forward.
And the growth that happened during the relationship, does that still count?
Absolutely. That personal growth remains part of you. You don't lose that just because the relationship ended. And finally, going through this kind of pain can develop incredible empathy. You understand on a gut level what others are going through. It can make you a more compassionate person overall. Painful, yes, but potentially expansive.
Okay, one of the biggest hurdles after heartbreak, understandably, is rebuilding faith in love itself. It's just so natural to think, is it worth risking this kind of pain again? That doubt can lead straight to cynicism, right? Or just shutting down emotion.
It's a very real fear. Rebuilding trust and love, it's a gradual process, like slowly strengthening an injured limb. A good place to start is by consciously noticing the love that's already around you, outside of romantic relationships.
Like friends and family.
Exactly. Friends, family, pets, even community connection. These relationships demonstrate that love exists in many forms. They're proof it's not just a romantic concept. That can be really grounding.
And practicing vulnerability again. That sounds scary.
It is scary, so start small. Practice vulnerability in low-risk situations first. Maybe share something a bit personal with a really trusted friend. It helps rebuild your confidence in connecting without the high stakes of a potential romance.
Challenging the negative thoughts, too. Like, all relationships end badly.
Yes, definitely challenge that absolutist thinking. Just because one relationship ended even painfully doesn't mean all relationships will follow the same script. And when or if you feel ready to explore romantic connections again, the advice is start slowly. Dating casually, if you approach it mindfully, can actually help rebuild confidence and remind you how to connect with new people.
And hopefully you've learned a bit more about choosing partners.
Hopefully. You develop better skills for choosing partners, recognizing red flags earlier. But ultimately, the sources make a beautiful point. The ability to love deeply, even when it leads to pain, is one of humanity's greatest gifts.
What's the alternative?
Emotional numbness, which might feel safer, but it also robs you of so much joy and connection. It's a trade-off.
That is a powerful. Let's quickly touch on professional support again. When should someone really consider getting help? What are those clear signs?
Okay, the sources list some pretty clear indicators. If your grief feels completely overwhelming and it's just not easing up over an extended period, if you're having any thoughts of self-harm, that's an immediate signal to reach out.
What about just not functioning?
Right. If you're finding you're unable to function in really important areas of your life, like you can't get to work, you can't manage basic daily tasks, or if you find yourself turning heavily to alcohol or drugs just to cope. Therapy can also be incredibly helpful if the heartbreak seems to have poked at deeper, older wounds or unresolved issues from your past.
Are there different kinds of therapy that work best?
Yeah, different approaches suit different people. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is great for tackling those negative thought patterns we talked about. Mindfulness-based therapies help with managing difficult emotions in the moment. Psychodynamic therapy can help you understand how past experiences are influencing you now. The main thing is, don't feel like you have to wait until you're in absolute crisis mode. Lots of people find support incredibly beneficial throughout the healing process. Even if they're still managing to function okay day to day, it's an investment in your recovery.
And what about physical health throughout this whole journey? We touched on the basics early on, but how crucial is it long term?
Oh, it's absolutely paramount. The mind-body connection is so strong. That prolonged stress and emotional pain, it can really manifest physically. Headaches, muscle tension, messing with your immune system even.
Sleep disruptions seem
Incredibly common. That's why developing a consistent, calming bedtime routine is so vital. And appetite changes too. Focusing on regular, balanced meals, even small ones, keeps your physical resources up. And you know what's really compelling? Exercise. The sources call it one of the most powerful tools.
Why exercise specifically?
It releases endorphins, those natural mood boosters. It provides a fantastic outlet for stress and that pent-up angry energy. And honestly, it just helps boost your self-confidence when you might be feeling really low about yourself.
So pay attention to the physical signs of stress too.
Yes, headaches, tight muscles, stomach issues. Notice them. Maybe try stress reduction techniques like deep breathing or yoga. And crucially, limit the alcohol. Avoid recreational drugs. They might feel like an escape hatch, but they really interfere with sleep quality, exacerbate depression and anxiety, impair judgment, and ultimately prevent you from processing your emotions in healthy ways. They hinder healing.
So pulling this all together, looking ahead, what does surviving heartbreak mean for building resilience? Not just for romance, but for life's other challenges.
Well, getting through heartbreak is basically an intensive training course in emotional resilience. It really is. Resilience isn't about never feeling pain. It's about navigating life's inevitable challenges with greater ease and recovering more quickly when they hit. This whole experience helps cultivate a growth mindset. You start to see difficulties not as permanent roadblocks, but as things you can move through and learn from.
Less about being broken, more about learning.
Exactly. You also learn the importance of having multiple sources of meaning and fulfillment in your life, so your entire identity isn't wrapped up in one relationship. You practice those emotional regulation skills. You build up a personal toolkit of coping strategy. You figure out what actually works for you when things get tough.
Boundaries too, probably.
Big time. You almost certainly develop better boundaries for future relationships. And maybe most importantly, you cultivate self-compassion as a foundational life skill. Learning to talk to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend going through hell, that's transformative, not just for heartbreak, but for everything.
So as you move through this, you eventually hit a point where the pain isn't the main character in your story anymore. It doesn't mean you forget, right? But you integrate it. It becomes part of a bigger story of growth, resilience.
Exactly.
And it feels like an opportunity then maybe to consciously design what comes next using everything you've learned.
Absolutely. And the sources really stress this. Healing isn't like arriving at a destination. It's an ongoing process. You will have setbacks. You'll have bad days, moments when that old pain just washes over you out of nowhere. That doesn't mean you've failed or you're not making progress. It just means you're human.
Healing in spirals, not straight lines.
Beautifully put. That's exactly it. And the wisdom you gain through this, it becomes this incredible gift, something you can actually offer others. Your story, your survival, your growth, it can genuinely provide hope and guidance for someone else walking that path. And remember, this experience, as awful as it feels, it's expanding. It's growing your capacity for empathy, deepening how much you appreciate love when you find it again, and proving to yourself that you can weather life's storm. As one source put it, the person you become through this healing process, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, is someone you might never have met without going through this difficult time. Your heart, yeah, it was broken, but maybe it's also broken open, more capable of love, more aware of its preciousness, and more committed to honoring both its vulnerability and its strength.
The end of one love story is truly not the end of love itself. It's just the end of one chapter and the beginning of a whole new one, filled with possibilities you probably can't even imagine right now, but you're actually better equipped to embrace them when they come. Your healing journey continues, and with every single step forward, you're writing a new story, one of resilience, hope, and the enduring power of the human heart to heal and to love again.
So after all that, what really stands out to you from this deep dive? We genuinely hope this exploration helps you wherever you are on this journey, embrace it with a bit more understanding and definitely with more help.